Hi, this is a lesser known Dire Straits solo by Mark Knopfler, but if you're watching this you probably do know it. I think it was a B-side to the Calling Elvis single from On Every Street. Anyway, great song, brilliant solo. It's the one in the middle of the song. It's kind of the main guitar solo. The song's in B minor, but it's kind of a blues, so it's the minor major thing's a bit dubious in this song. I'd say it's in B minor, but most of the other chords are major or dominant. Anyway, I'm going to do a separate lesson on the chords. So just think B blues scale stroke minor pentatonic. Right, so I'm going to go through this phrase by phrase. I'll play the first phrase, then we'll break it down. So what we've got here is a 6 on the 3rd string. Play that note, bend it to sound like a 7, so it's a small bend, a semitone bend, let it down, push it up, let it down, pull off to the 4. Stretch to get the 7 on the 4th string, back to the 4 on the 3rd string and hammer onto a 7 on the same string and do a slight bend downwards, very slight, and then play 4 on the 3rd string, 7 on the 4th. So typical Mark Knopfler and also typical blues solo. It's just a lot of the same notes being repeated. I'll play the whole phrase slowly. Right, here's the next one. So a little bit tricky this one. Got to slide into the 9 on the 5th string. Play the 9 on the 4th string afterwards. Play the 7 on the 3rd string. So this is all in the sort of standard B pentatonic minor position. And you let that note ring just for a second and then hammer on and pull off to a 9. So it's... And then hammer onto the 9 again and then bend up to an 11. So it's... So that was all without picking the note again from this 7 here. It's and then there's a very faint note, just it feels like it's a bit late, this note. It's a really nice kind of touch. It just plays a 9 on the 4th string quite faintly. So it's okay, next phrase. Got a really nice bluesy one. So what we're doing here, you can use 4th or 3rd finger for this. Play the 10, bend up to sound like a 12, which is the B, the root note. Then play the B here, so it's 7 on the 1st string, and then play 7 on the 2nd string. So it's, and then play the 10 on the 2nd string again. Pull off to a 7, hammer onto a 10, pull off to a 7, hammer onto a 10, pull off to a 7, hammer onto a 10, pull off to a 7, hammer onto a 10. That's a lot. Basically, you don't want to count this, you just want to hear it. Like that. And when you hammer onto that last 10, this is all with one pick. You then bend the note up to a 12. So it's up to speed. And then just to finish this phrase, we play 7 on the 1st string again and 7 on the 2nd string. It's the whole phrase. Next one. Okay, so what's happening there is it's a repeated thing 4 times. 3rd one's a tiny bit different, but it's a small detail. So another bluesy thing, we want to play the 10 on the 1st string, very slightly bend it up, just to make it sound bluesy. You're not bending to the next fret. It's not even to an 11. It's not that far. It's just a bit. Bend it up. Play the 7 on the 1st string, then play 7 on the 2nd string. Obviously, I'm using my fingers for this, like Mark Knopfler does. You could do this with a pick. This whole solo would work with a pick. It's fine. A lot of his solos, you really need to use fingers to make it sound right. But this one, I'm sure you could get exactly the same results with the pick. So what I've got to do is play that phrase 4 times. But on the third one, third note is sort of slightly muted. So the next phrase goes like this. So this one starts with the 7 on the second string that we just played. You can really hardly hear that he's playing that note again. It's quite hard to distinguish because the last phrase ended with that note. And then he plays it again, straight into the next note. So it's 7, second string, 10 on the second string, bend it up, use little finger this time, up to a 12, play the 7, which is the B, the same note we just sounded. Typical bluesy thing, same note played in 2 ways. So it's 7, 10, bend it up, 7 on the first string, 10, pull off to 7 on the second string, 9 on the third, 7 on the second, 7 on the third, let it ring, and after it's been ringing for like a good kind of bit of time, like a second or more than a second, hammer on to the 9, pull off to the 7 again, and then play a 9 on the 4th string. So it's the whole phrase slowly. Next one. That's a really nice one. It's about as typical Mark Knopfler as you'll ever get. So what we'll do is 3rd string, 9, but pre-bend to 11. I'm sure you know about pre-bends, but it's where you bend the 9 up to sound like an 11. But the pre-bend means you don't pick it until you've got the finger and the string pushed up. Then you pick it, so all you hear is the release where it comes down. Like that, so it's not like this. And then you pull off to a 7, hammer on to a 9, pull off to a 7. So that's really slowly. In the song it's quite fast, sort of. And then a lovely little phrase next, like this. I really like that one. So that shows how you can just take the basic pentatonic minor scale that everyone knows and everyone uses all the time, and someone like Mark Knopfler can come up with just such an interesting phrase that's just the same notes everyone else uses, but just the order that he puts them in. It's just a cool little phrase, this one. So he plays the 3rd string 7, and then goes to a 10 on the 2nd string, and then a bend, 3rd string 9, bend to sound like 11. Pick the 9, pick the 7, but slightly bend downwards. And there's a little pause where he stops playing just for a second, and then plays 4th string 9, pull off to 7. So slowly that's. Next one. So there's quite an easy one, this one. We've got to slide in with 3rd finger to a 9 on the 5th string. When I say slide in, it's one of those ones where you're sliding from nowhere in particular. You only hear the effect of the slide. You don't hear the starting point. So it's not like 5 to 9 or 8 to 9 or 2 to 9. It's just nowhere to 9 like this. Might take a bit of practice. And then you play the 9 on the 4th string. This is outlining a B minor chord. And then you play 7 on the 3rd string twice, second time slightly bend it downwards, and then play a 9 on the 4th string. So that's. Next one. A lot of vibrato involved in this one. So we've got a 9 on the 3rd string bending to sound like an 11. Then play the 7 on the 2nd string, which is the same note as that bend. Keep your finger there. probably little finger here. You could use third, but I'd use little finger. On the 10, play that note and pull off to the 7, and then play the 7 again, but with lots of vibrato. So that's, and then play the 9 on the 3rd string, followed by the 2 7s again on the 2nd string, second one with the vibrato. And then the pull off again on the 10 on the 2nd string, pull off to 7, play the 7 again, bit of vibrato. So slowly that phrase was. Next one. What it is the 2nd string, standard bend that we've done before. It's an A, bend it to sound like a B, which is 12th fret. Then play the 10, play the 7, same string. Going down the blues scale here. 3rd string, 10, 9, 7. So that was. And then straight away we play a bend on the 9 on the 3rd string. Bend it to sound like an 11, let it down to a 9, bend up to an 11 again. So that was. And then play 7 on the 1st string, 10, pull off to 7 on the 2nd string, 9 on the 3rd, 7 on the 2nd. And then here, whilst that note's ringing, you've got to kind of roll your finger across so you then cover the 3rd string as well, and play the 3rd string, and then just pull both strings downwards a little bit. It's a little bit tricky to get this part. So this note's ringing, and then you pick the 3rd, pull the strings down a little bit, and you'll hear both strings ringing like this. That's a little bit difficult to get. So I'll play that whole phrase slowly. And it goes straight into this next one. So that's another slide into the 9 on the 5th string, outlining the B minor chord again. 9 on the 4th, 7 on the 3rd, 6 on the 3rd, 9 on the 4th, which is the root note, the B. And then the next phrase is, so it's a bit like one we did earlier, playing 3rd string, 9, bend to an 11, release, so let it back down to a 9 again, pull off to a 7, hammer on to 9, slowly. Up to speed it's. And then he almost repeats that. The difference is, instead of bending to an 11, it's to a 10, so it's a bluesier bend, and it's a pre-bend this time, so you go. So I'll put those two together. And that's kind of the end of the solo. In my demo I played 5 notes on the end, and I'm not certain whether he's really playing these. Someone is, the notes are in there. But I don't know whether it's part of the lead solo or not. I'm not too sure. But if I was playing this song like I did in the demo, I would put these in. So all it is, it's the F sharp, which is the root note of chord 5, so it's the last chord of the sequence in the blues. And just play it 5 times. And now I think I did a little sliding thing. And that's it, that's the whole solo. So check out the demo again at the beginning so that you can see how this is phrased and sort of relate the notes I'm talking about to the sound. Obviously listen to the original song as well if you want to hear it played properly. And there's loads of other cool little lead phrases and things in this, so I might look at those at some point as well. If you think that'd be good, then please put in the comments. Any questions about this one, please put those in the comments as well, and click like if you like this one, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Look out for the other lesson where I'm going to go through what the chords are for this. Okay, thanks.